Welcome back to the dojo, everybody. This is True Talk with TruMotion, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place and hopefully make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host Stephen.
Good morning.
Let's get things kicked off. Well, first off, I'd like to do our weekly recap. Stephen, how's your week been, man?
It's been a wild week. I am looking at the new scars on my hands because my dogs are starting a fight club without me.
Really? Are they just like going to town on your hands?
They're having fun, and I'm trying to pull them apart. They're getting a little rambunctious here.
They're just learning how to fight when they get older.
It's a good thing. You know, that's why we teach martial arts.
Yeah.
So,
but they're at that stage where they got those needle teeth, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I hate needle teeth in puppies. I love puppies. I do not like puppy teeth.
This breed of dog doesn't bite down, but they still have sharp teeth.
Oh yeah,
like they go,
yeah. Just the little pinch.
mm-hmm.
No, thank you. No. I'd rather spar and get punched in the face than that little pinch on like my hands or my feet or my legs.
Yeah, it's right there, always on the nerves.
Yeah, and they're like freakishly good at it too.
Yep.
You're like, can't you bite me in the meaty part of the hand? No,
on.
you got like right underneath the fingernail. You're like, oh, seriously? So I've been dealing with a lot of puppy fights, huh?
It's been a day like that, but training is going well. Honestly, all of them are. I'm taking turns with them and helping them learn how to get into crates, learn how to get out of crates, learn how to follow, learn how to come. It's good. It's.
What's your technique for like making them keeping them learning how to get them to follow?
I just say come and hold out something, and they come to me, and then I just walk with them, and they follow me, because they expect like in a certain duration, you know, they're going to follow me, and then they're going to say, oh, he's going to give me a treat too.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember when we were doing puppy school with our dogs, you would get the training treats, and you would palm them effectively. So you'd put them in the middle of your palm, and then you put your thumb on top.
Yep.
And then you put your hand down.
Yep.
So you let them sniff it and be like, oh, there's a treat there.
There's a treat there.
And then you keep your hand down by where they were, and you walk and have them follow your hand. And then eventually you could just, like, Loki, my dog Loki, he's really good at this.
Okay.
Apparently we did a really good training him on this part where I can just put my hand down where, like, he can see my palm, and he comes and puts his nose right on my palm.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That Pavlovian effect.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the hand's down.
He's really, like, I'll just sit on a chair and my hand will drop, and he'll come and put his muzzle in my hand, and then, you know, at that point you just start petting him because it's like, oh, he's...
And that's a reward too.
Yeah, like, you know, you do the, oh, good boy. You know, it's funny how that phrase goes just as far as the treat itself.
It is, yeah.
Like, dogs are so eager to please. Like, it's amazing. Like, my parents' dog, Blue, who's a big-ass Burmese mountain dog. I almost said python. Burmese mountain dog. Like, at first, when I'd come over, he'd just lose his mind and jump and, like, freak out and this and that. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to give him commands with a treat to get him to, like, not freak out as much. Yeah. And before it was like he wouldn't do it unless he got a treat. And then now I started to where after he would do it, I'd go by his side and I'd rub his side and scratch his head and be like, oh, good boy. Now after he does a command and you're like, okay, he'll turn and put his side against you.
I expect to be petted now.
Yep. And it was like, okay, pony up. He doesn't even care about the treat anymore.
Yeah.
So
I had an older dog that used to do that. Her name was Maggie.
Yeah.
And she would come up, and then she'd like, all right, time to scratch me. She was a Pyrenees Border Collie mix, and so she had three levels of fur. So she was...
Wow.
We called her... she was a bear. She was a little bear.
3 levels.
Yeah, so she had 3 coats. And so
holy cow.
Summers were not great for her.
No.
She loved winters.
I bet she did.
But yeah,
Did she like water?
She hated getting wet.
Interesting. She's effectively waterproof.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
But she would not like to get wet at all. Like it was the very strangest thing.
Yeah.
She was a peculiar dog, but she was a lovely little girl.
How big was he?
She came up to probably my chest.
Really? Okay, so fairly sized
came
dog.
up to the chest. Yeah,
Not like the Great Pyrenees, but
no, she was a large. So Great Pyrenees would be extra large, and then because she's a mix with a medium dog, it was a sort of fit in the middle.
yeah, large, medium,
A medium large.
a Marge. She was a Marge.
Yep, a Marge.
Marge.
Yep.
Not a schmedium.
Yeah, but that was my week. What have you been up to?
Still dealing with Shannon and her rehab.
Okay.
Well, she drove herself to work today.
Hey, good job.
Huge big deal. The last couple of days, she had my buddy Ron take her to work and bring her home. But yeah, well, and truthfully, the only reason why she drove herself to work today is Ron took the day off. And two, I told her I'll take you. I just can't pick you up.
That happens.
So I was like, you either got to find your way home or Uber. And she didn't want to Uber, and she's too prideful to ask for a ride. So she's like, I'm just going to drive myself. And I was like, okay, don't get in an accident. And I just got a text message that she drove, and she drove to work, and it felt good. So obviously she didn't get into an accident. So
that's excellent.
Wonderful news. Yeah, other than that, it's been a pretty average day teaching. Had a pretty bogus doctor's appointment where it was like I went in expecting one thing and it was not that, and it was like trying to sell me something, and I was like,
sit down for a sales presentation.
Yeah, and I was like,
you're like, I'm here for my health.
Yeah, it's like that's not what I came here for, buddy. But thank you for wasting an hour of my time. But I'm gonna go. Yeah, but other than that, it's been a pretty good week. We wrote out goals for our meeting.
Okay.
So it was nice to kind of sit down and put pen to paper, stuff I want to accomplish again.
That's right.
So normally we tend to only do that around New Year's, the New Year's resolution and stuff like that. No, I think every couple months you need to either have goals and look at them and be like, am I on track for them? Or sit down and refresh them and write down new ones.
That's right.
Because, the whole adage saying, if you don't have goals, it's like sailing without a destination. You have to have purpose in what you're doing, not just the sake of doing it. So, obviously, and that can be very tricky here teaching. Okay, because you can come in and teach for the sake of teaching and get huge fulfillment out of it. But at the same time, then you wouldn't be growing.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I like the teaching for the sake of teaching and seeing people improve that way, but what else is my motivation to come to work? So, and I try not to use the term work, but come in and make an impact. I'm trying to use that phrase, make an impact again.
There it is.
So, it's been good. It's been pretty good. Obviously, still things to work on. When you write down those goals, you're like, I'm close, but I'm not very close at the same time. And then it makes you accountable, especially when you verbalize. If you verbalize them or just outright say them, then you're like, okay, now somebody else knows them, and they'll probably talk to me about them. And I've got to make sure that I'm on track with them and I'm not just goofing off effectively.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So, yeah, anytime you have a goal, people, it's one thing to write it down. I mean, obviously step one is you got to write it down. Okay. Step one, you got to write it down. Step two, you got to tell somebody. Okay. And tell somebody that you admire, you take good advice from, or a good friend. Okay. I wouldn't just tell anybody. I would tell somebody that challenges you.
Interesting. Can I have you elaborate on that? I've heard mixed things because I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, keep your goals to yourself. Don't let people know your next move." But then I've also heard your perspective where it's like you need people that hold you accountable.
Yeah.
How do we contrast the two?
The next move issue, that's in my opinion, that's if you're scheming. And I don't want to even use the term scheming, but if you don't trust where you're at and the people around you, then I probably wouldn't tell my goals to them. Okay. Because then that tells them they're like let's say corporate America.
Okay.
Corporate America, I probably wouldn't tell my goals to people.
Okay.
Why? Because there's so much backstabbing in the office. And if I tell somebody my goal, then they may think that I'm trying to take their job.
Yeah, it's like I want to be the boss one day.
Yeah, I'll be like, man, I want to be able to be
we
a manager or CEO. Then the other people will be like, oh God, they're trying to take my job, and then they may try to sabotage you, or they can't wait to see you fail, and they take pride and joy in being like, ha. See, this person wanted to do this, and they're
going through a hard time right now.
They're struggling.
How's that goal going, buddy?
But yeah, no. If I was like in this realm, when I'm around people I trust and people that are like-minded, you tell them the goal. Okay. Why? Because then they'll either help you achieve it, or they'll continue asking you about it, so it puts it in the forefront of your mind. You know what I mean? Because then it's like, if you're like, one of the personal ones for me is like building a pool.
Yeah.
I want to build a pool in our backyard.
There you go.
Will it ever happen? Well, I'm going to try to make it happen. But now that I've like told people that, they'll ask me like, so how's the pool coming?
Interesting.
And then you could either be like, well, I gave up on that goal. Or you could be like, well, it's tracking really well. Like I'm XYZ.
No, I get that.
So
I get that.
That's a good distinction between like not letting people know your next move and telling people your end game and then being okay with that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. That clears it up for me a little bit.
Yeah, So in this realm, like if you have a goal, tell it to me. I'll keep you accountable for it. Or tell it to Master Martin.
Okay.
Or Master Lenton.
No, I think the vision boards that we did as a group.
I love vision boards.
They're great. And it's like I started to see things like, oh, I put a passport on there because I want to get my passport. Guess what I have now?
You got your passport. Yep.
Oh, there's a border collie on there. A puppy. Guess what I have 6 of? Puppies.
Border collie puppies.
It's like, oh, I put a car on there. Guess what I have? It's that car. So it's great.
And it's like a wish list.
It's pretty much a wish list.
And you can be as ambitious as you want, or you can be as conservative as you want. I love it because it's like sky's the limit.
Sky is the limit.
It's like, this is what I wanted. This is what I'm trying to envision. Go big or go home. So for me, it's like, let's push the envelope and be like, I may never get this stuff, but whatever. We're slapping that sucker on there. Because I'd rather dream big and fail than dream small and succeed. Okay? Because even if I dream big and I fail, I'm still way ahead of the people that dream small and actually get it. You know?
Interesting. Okay.
In my opinion. So.
All right.
But yeah, so that's that. So it was fun kind of doing the goals thing because, again, it forced me to kind of reevaluate what I'm doing. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right, next up is a word from our sponsor.
In the heart of the majestic Utah wilderness, where snow-kissed landscapes meet the rugged beauty of the high desert, you'll find SHS, a trusted voice partner. With a voice as deep and rich as the roots of our Western heritage, SHS is more than a company. We're the voice your project deserves. Whether it's a commercial, narration, or anything else you need, the deep American male voice of SHS adds authenticity and warmth. Let SHS be the voice you need, echoing through the vastness of your imagination. Your project, our passion. Together, we'll resonate. Contact SHS today and let our deep American male voice elevate your message. Because in the world of sound, we're not just any voice, we're SHS, your voice partner of Utah.
All right, thank you, sponsor. Next up is our top 5 list. This week, we're doing top 5 potato chips.
Potato chips.
Potato chips. So, Stephen, I'm curious, what are your top 5 potato chips?
What is a potato chip?
Exactly, because I got some on here, and I'm like, is this a potato chip?
Yep.
Or is it...
So obviously it has to be made with potatoes, so that takes out any tortilla or corn-based chip, right?
Yes.
Is your list including? Is this just a chip list?
Well, we should probably just say this. What are your top 5 chips?
Oh, okay.
Or
okay. Are
things
we going
that-
American chips or chips?
Whatever chips you want. Things in a bag.
Things in a bag.
Things in a
Okay,
bag
this
that you
list
open
has-
up
that
and then
has-
you start snacking on. Yep.
Start just eating.
Stuff that you have for snacks, not food.
Well, I really like cheddar ruffles.
Yeah.
That's up there. I will eat way too many of those if left unsupervised.
Yep. Me too.
I really like salt and vinegar chips.
Uh-huh.
The unique flavor, the salty and
The tangy.
the tanginess, just something. I think I have a deficiency or whatever.
Honestly, I was not a huge fan of those until recently.
You recently became.
I recently
a fan of
became
them.
converted to the salt and vinegar.
Welcome to the club.
Exactly.
We're all salty around
Yeah.
here. Next one's going to be chili lime chips. I think those are more tortilla or corn chips.
Mm-hmm.
Anything with hot, anything
Yeah.
spicy is also really good.
What's your spice level?
I will go all the way.
Really?
I did
You can have a big spice tolerance.
yeah. There's the what's the truck that serves like noodles? There's like a food truck and then there's like a shop, but
The K-pop or
Yeah.
Cut Bop.
Cut Bop.
Cut Bop.
I do like spice level 10 there.
Really?
Yeah, but it's. Well, I mean, I'm in Utah, so that's like a 6 everywhere else.
That's true. I guess Utah doesn't have a real big
We
spice.
don't. No, there's
spice
not a
palette.
huge spice tolerance here.
Yeah.
So, I like hot chips. Anything with chili or lime or like sriracha,
Yeah.
habanero. Those are great. I'll eat those.
Uh-huh.
I like that if they're hot enough that I have to take a break.
Oh,
That's
okay.
good for my health.
Okay.
'Cause otherwise, I'll just eat them all.
Because you're just like,
Yep.
Oh,
I
okay.
have to stop. Where's the
Yeah,
water?
you're doing-
Where's the water?
yep, you're doing your Lamaze breathing.
Yep.
Okay.
And let's see, that's 4. Then I'm gonna have to go with just classic. I like classic ruffle potato chips.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with classic ones.
Yeah.
Those are like in my top 10
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Like you can never go wrong with just a classic salty potato chip.
And barbecue's up there, but I don't like it all the time.
Me too.
Some barbecue kettle
Yeah.
maybe is great, but I think barbecue Lay's is just too sweet.
Yeah, it's got a weird taste.
It depends on the barbecue they use.
Yeah,
So
that's true. I mean, I love barbecue and barbecue sauce.
me too.
I'm not a huge fan of barbecue chips.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Remember
hear
when they had those crazy flavors like tomato and other chip flavors?
they have ketchup,
They have ketchup chip. Flavors.
ketchup chip flavors, dill pickle
Pickle chips.
chip flavors.
They
They had street
used
taco
to have like pickle popcorn, like
pickled popcorn.
pickle flavored popcorn. They might still do.
Interesting.
They might still have it.
That would be interesting.
Yep.
Huh.
So anything cheesy or salty or tangy is my thing, or spicy. There it is. That's my list.
I can't deny you that one. That one's pretty good. So I've got Funyuns. Yeah, Funyuns. Funyuns are good. Hot or regular.
Hot or regular?
So they have
Funyuns.
hot and regular Funyuns.
I've never had a hot Funyun.
Yeah, they're pretty good. It's like a circle hot Cheeto.
Whoa.
So
Wait, I could have picked Cheetos on this list, couldn't I?
yeah, I did.
That's
yeah.
not fair.
Sorry.
This too literally.
Sorry. I got chili limon Cheetos.
Okay.
That's my version of a hot Cheeto.
Yep.
Like I
Those are
like
good.
heat. I like heat, but I also don't like it to the point where it ruins the rest of my meal. You know what I mean? Like we talked yesterday, I had the mango habanero wings from Buffalo Wild Wings one
Nice and
time.
balanced.
Oh yeah, the mango, the sweetness will balance out the heat. Yeah, that was wrong. And I ate those wings, but I couldn't eat anything else the rest of the day because like my mouth is on fire, and I'm like sweating and my mouth is watering, and you're like on that verge of like throwing up, but you're not gonna throw up.
That's
Yeah.
kind of an extreme. I've never had to throw up from something hot.
No, I shouldn't
I've
say.
done hot sauces where other people have thrown up.
Yeah.
Like from Hot Ones. I've done like the Da Bomb or whatever.
You've tried the bomb?
I have, yeah.
Oh man,
I've
how
had
was
like
it?
ghost chili peppers. It was hot,
Uh-huh.
but it was fine.
Dang, we should have you do the Hot Ones challenge.
Oh, well, get them.
Yeah, we'll get all the hot ones.
We should do it as a podcast special.
That's right.
We'll do the Hot Ones challenge.
When we go live,
when we go video,
we'll do the Hot Ones challenge
for all of our listeners.
That'll be fun.
We'll have to answer. We'll have someone give us questions, or we'll have to ask each other questions.
That'll be cool. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, so like I like spice. And I wasn't on the verge of throwing up. But you know, like when you're about ready to throw up and your mouth waters.
It starts to fill with
and you're
saliva,
just like, you're like, oh, here it comes. That's how my mouth was like the whole night. But I wasn't nauseous. It was just like constantly like your mouth is on fire. Secrete liquids to cool it down. You know. So chili limon Cheetos.
Okay.
Ruffles sour cream.
That's a good one.
Or sour cream and onion.
Either
sour cream and fill in the blank. I'm a fan of. I love sour cream.
Sour cream and onion.
Sour cream is great. Salt and vinegar, like I said, I did not like it growing up and as an early adult. And then I would dare say a couple months ago, Shanna always orders or gets those types of chips. And I was like, how can you like this crap? And I finally had one and I was all like,
well, where have you been my whole life?
Interesting, because it got tangy. Because I was like, vinegar, come on. Yeah, vinegar on chips,
not apple cider vinegar.
No, and then I had it, and it had that little salty, and then the tang, and you're like, "Well, by God, this actually works." And no wonder people like this.
What is this feeling I have?
You're just like, I feel like this door's been opened up to me. So, got those, and then sour cream and cheddar sun chips.
Sun chips.
I love the sour cream and cheddar sun chips. Like, I could eat the whole bag.
I have eaten.
Yeah, I'm multiple times. They're like, here's a bag.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but I don't read the ingredients on some chips.
I don't either.
It's not in a language I understand.
No, and I don't want to know. So it says sun chips and it says whole grains. So,
yeah.
You know, it's way better, even though we know whole grains aren't way better for you.
There's a whole lot of...
Yeah, a whole lot of garbage. Stuff. I was going to put Cheetos on there until I found out they were flammable. So,
Cheetos are flammable?
I'm sorry, Doritos.
Yep, good old fire starter there.
Yeah, so
a lot of things are flammable.
People out there, if you did not know, you can use Doritos as a fire starter.
Bring a little snack bag of Doritos in your bug out bag.
Exactly.
You'll be fine.
So you can take one chip, and it will light on fire and hold a flame. And you can put it underneath your fire, and it'll start up your fire, you know, if you're camping.
Yep.
And I've seen videos on it, so it's not like you're just like, holy crap, this is flammable, and I'm eating it. What is that telling me? Nobody light a flame near my mouth. I might catch on fire. Yeah. So, what are your types of chips? Did we miss any? Did we forget some?
What are chips that you like that not many people know about? Or
like some of those like exotic style chips from other countries, or what type of flavor combos you like. Because I'm trying to think, like, you remember like the gimmicky chips when they were like the Doritos 3D and the ones that were like puffs, like they were like circles, but they weren't cheese puffs. They were just like hollowed out circle type.
Puffs, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, another good type of chip snack, even though technically they're not chips. I don't even know what you would classify them in. Is those like popcorners?
Popcorners.
Have you ever had those?
I had these.
Popcorners will change your life. Okay. I had them on a JetBlue flight.
Airplane food.
Yeah, and then I found them in the grocery stores, and they are good. So imagine really thin, like rice cakes.
Right. Okay.
That are flavored in like cut and chip fashion.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, they are phenomenal. Like they have flavors like white cheddar, kettle corn.
White cheddar is a good flavor.
Yeah.
White cheddar popcorn is probably my favorite, but that's a different list.
That's a different topic. But I will tell you what I'm not a huge fan of. We talked about this yesterday, were kettle chips.
Yes.
I mean,
why is that?
They're like, sometimes they're like rock hard.
They've been in the kettle.
Yeah, you bite them and you're just like, oh, I chipped a tooth. Like, send me to the dentist. If it's too hard to chew, or if it like feels like it's gonna crack
Or
something.
the splinters inside your mouth.
Yeah, or like the real thin potato chips where like we talked about yesterday, you bite them and they break in this like needle fashion and they cut up your mouth. You're like, oh, that hurts. So I just thought of another type of chip and it slipped my mind. Oh, dang it. The kettle chips. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't meant to be. But let us know what your type of chips are and if we're on track with something or if we're not on track with something. But I feel like we had a pretty solid list. Somebody handed me any of those chips we talked about, I'd be like, thank you.
Thank you.
I will have another. So, but moving on, it is the Ask a Sensei's portion of the show. All right, for those of you guys that are new to the show, Ask a Sensei is where people submit questions and we answer them. We answer about 3 a week, so here's the questions for this week. Question number 1 is, what is the hardest part about martial arts? So, Stephen, we'll kind of talk like your own personal experience, and then we'll kind of talk like what really is the hardest part, okay? So what was your personally, what was your hardest part about martial arts?
Personally, is realizing that how I kick, how I punch, how I do stuff is not going to look exactly like how someone else will do it. I think that's a big hurdle that a lot of people have is you already have to be good at something to be in it. But a lot of our classes are to get people there.
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to recognize, and I've been doing this for years, at just how much better I am health-wise, how much better I am flexibility-wise than when I started.
Yeah, for sure.
But when I started, I had these hurdles to overcome where it's like, I can't do this. I hate to say can't, but it's like, I'm doing this and it sucks. I'm
not good at this
I'm
yet.
not good at this. And I'm probably still not good, but I'm better than where I was.
Well, the truth of the matter is we always have room for improvement.
That's right.
So to say that you're like, yeah, I'm great, you might be, but you still got a long ways to go, regardless of the stage you're at in your training. And that can be a hard pill for people to swallow, to be honest with you.
That is tough. And I think, so that was what happened. That's my hardest thing in martial arts, is understanding that I'm on a continuous journey. I'm not going to reach a destination and be like, hey, you got it now.
There really is no finish line.
There's no finish line.
And that can be hard for people.
Yeah.
So they do things and they're like, where's the destination, or where's the end point, or what's the stopping point, or like they want to have something that they can run towards. So that goes back to going for goals.
That's right. Goals.
When you're in your training, when you're first starting, it's very easy because your next belt is your goal.
That's right.
So it's like when you first start, you're like, you put on that white belt and you're really proud to put on that white belt. Then you go to a couple of classes and you're like, I don't want to put this white belt on anymore. I want my yellow belt.
I want another belt.
Yeah, I want my yellow belt. Then you get your yellow belt and you're like, oh yeah, not lined up in the very end of class anymore. Then you go to a couple of classes and you're like, tired of being a yellow belt. I want to be an orange belt. And you just do that throughout the entire belt system. You get your belt, you immediately want your next one. You're never satisfied.
It's that motivation after the test.
Exactly. And that is even true to a certain extent with black. You get your black belt, and a lot of people think, oh, well, congratulations, that's the end. Shake your hand and off you go. No, that's when you like really, really start to learn stuff. And nobody believes me when I tell them that. Because it was told to me when I was coming up through the ranks, and I didn't believe them either.
Of course.
They're like, you really don't start learning until you get to black. And I was like, whatever. Like, that's just what black belts say because they already have one.
Yeah.
No, it's really true. You really don't start learning a lot until you get to black belt. But even when you get to black belt, then you have like, well, I want to be second degree. Now I want to be third degree. And not only it was interesting because I didn't really care about the stripe on my belt when I was coming up. I cared about what you could wear.
Oh, we want
So it's
the
like-
color options.
Yeah. So when I was a
Tired of
first
being-
degree and I would go to tournaments and I'd see other people wearing like, you know, second degree outfits and third degree outfits, I'd be like, God, I want to wear that at a
I
tournament.
want that color combo.
Mm-hmm.
I want the red pants.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden you see somebody walking in with red. You're like, who the hell are they?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I want that.
These come in that color?
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, well, you got to be fourth degree to wear red. Then you're like, I need to get
That's
to
a
fourth.
goal.
I need to get to fourth. So, and then it's funny because truthfully, like fifth and higher, like I'm trying for it,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't really motivate me.
It doesn't motivate you.
No, like getting
Want that
your quote unquote
master
masters, I don't really care. Like I don't really care to be called master.
Mm.
Okay. And that's not an ego thing. That's not trying to, oh, me be humble.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really do anything.
Interesting.
Being a master doesn't make you better. Being called a master doesn't make you a better martial artist. Being a master doesn't get you more students. It doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, we talked about this a long time ago on the show.
Yeah. So, like I want to get it.
I think it should be good to get.
Yeah, I want to get it, but I'm not getting it for the sake of the title.
I see.
You
That's
know?
good. That's a good.
Like I could even when I get it, people can just still call me Sensei Mark.
Right.
Like they don't have to be like, oh, Master Diaz. Like, shut up. It's Sensei Mark. It's okay. You know. But I also understand that I need to get it for the students.
Mhm.
Okay, because the students look up to me
That's right.
to be like, okay, I'm continuing on, so they need to continue on. So as much as I don't really care about it, the students care about it more than I do.
Mm.
Like they want to be able to call me that.
Mhm.
So when they go home and they talk to their friends or other students or other dojos, they'll be like, yeah, my instructor's a master.
My instructor's a 5th degree.
Yeah, you know, it's something for them to brag about, not you.
Yeah. And
So-
everybody wants to like be able to know a guy who's like
Yeah, exactly.
or
So
be taught by a guy who's a
yeah,
master.
but me, I don't really care about the
I get that,
title. I just want to. I care more about getting better.
Yeah.
Like skill wise.
It's not for us. It's for
Yeah.
the students.
And if I don't learn another form or technique, I'll be perfectly happy because I have so much stuff that I need to work on getting way better at that
Yeah.
stuff. So, but yeah, no, the definite hardest part is like, I would definitely agree with you, is getting into it, knowing that you're going to suck at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a weird like opinion in the world today where it's like because we see everything online,
Mm-hmm.
it's like oh, I don't want to do anything because I don't want to be recorded sucking at something.
Yeah, I don't want to be bad at something.
I don't want people to see me be bad at something. It's a position of vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a attitude we need to work out of our society.
It's
Like
an
you
ego
need
thing.
to see people at their best and at their worst.
Mhm.
It can't just be a first responder kind of thing to see people at their worst.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, then that shows humility.
Mhm.
Shows you humanize your neighbor when you see that they're struggling, and you like, hey, I can help you.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. It's interesting because you hear that a lot from everybody, not just with martial arts,
Mhm.
but like let's say they want to start a business.
Mhm.
Everything has to be perfectly laid out beforehand
Yeah.
before they even get started.
How many times does that work? How many times?
Exactly.
How many audibles have you called as
Mhm.
a businessman of
Yeah.
15 years almost?
Yeah, exactly. To where it's like, no, you start out with nothing and you suck.
Yeah.
And you learn and then you acquire.
Yep.
You don't start off with everything and expect to be good at
You
it.
climb. You hit a flat part where you're like, hey, I'm okay, and then you have to realize, oh, I've got a lot more to go. You
Oh, I
climb
got to
again.
climb again. Exactly. So, for people out there listening, if you've ever wanted to do something, just get off your ass and do it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're like, oh man, I want to go to Disneyland. Well, good. Hop on your computer, see how much it costs to go to Disneyland, call the provost,
Yeah.
and be like, hey, how can I go to Disneyland? They'll tell you.
Yep.
Okay, so like these excuses of not being where you're at, I get real tired of them. Okay, and I know I'm not where I'm at in any way, shape, or form. Okay, there are things personally I need to work on, and there are things professionally I need to work on. So I am the furthest thing from perfect as you could possibly get. But at the same time, I show up and I try to work on them. Okay? So if you ultimately want to do something, just do it. Nobody's stopping you. And I guarantee anything you tell me, we can find a solution for. Guaranteed.
Yep.
So I hate it when people present to me a problem and I give them a solution and they give me another excuse.
Yeah.
And then I give them a solution for that excuse and they give me another excuse.
Wow.
Then I give them a solution for that excuse and they give me another excuse. And then eventually I have to, after 3 times, I look at them and I'm like, do you even want my help?
Do you want a solution or are you just trying to complain?
Or do you just want to be heard?
Yeah.
Because if you just want to be heard, say, hey, can I tell you something and I just need you to listen?
Yeah. I need
like,
to vent.
all right. But if you give me a problem, naturally, as men, we want to solve that problem.
Yep, men fix things.
We fix things. We're fixers. So if you present to me a problem that does not want to be fixed, you need to preface it with, hey, I need to tell you something, but I don't need advice. I just need to tell you this.
Yep.
Like, okay, I'll listen. Because then at that point, I know it's not a problem.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You know, I'm not easily confused by why aren't you accepting my answers?
Exactly. Hey, I'm giving you viable reasons for what you want to do, and you're not listening to me.
That's making me frustrated.
Exactly. So, anybody out there, just so you're aware, if you present to your man or men in your life a problem, they are naturally going to want to fix it. If you don't want them to fix it, preface your statement with, don't say anything. This is not a problem. I just need to vent to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then they'll be like, oh, fix it brain shuts off.
Yep.
Okay, just sit there and listen or pretend to listen.
Yep.
Okay. But in reality, the hardest thing about martial arts is just walking in the front door.
That's
like we said, getting started.
Getting started.
Okay, that is the hardest part about martial arts. Everything else you can work on. Okay, if they're like, I'm out of shape. Well, everybody is when they first start.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not very flexible. Well, unless you're a child, everybody is, unless, when you start.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I struggle remembering things. So does everybody else when they start. Okay, so everything you say that you feel like is a problem, everybody else had to deal with too. So in reality, the hardest part about getting started is just walking in the front door. If you walk in the front door, everything else is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I think.
Like even personally?
Personally?
Yeah.
Like I thought about this a lot before I walked in the front door.
Uh-huh.
I didn't just spontaneously walk in, but that was the hardest part. I had to unravel all the different options. Like, I'm going to walk in and I'm immediately going to get beaten up.
Yeah.
No. I'm going to walk in and they're going to laugh at me. No. I'm going to walk in and it's going to be closed.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, depends when I walk in.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest hurdle for martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hardest thing is to just get started. Like
and I think
said,
that creates the most anxiety
it
too. It
creates a ton of anxiety.
Because you're having all these what if questions.
I think once you get started, the hardest thing, especially for younger students, is to stick with it.
Yeah, consistency.
Because there's going to be, like we said, those growths and then plateaus,
Yep.
You're going to have that. Every place has that.
And you're not always going to love it.
And there's going to be times when it's like, oh, what are we doing for group class? Why are we doing this for group class?
Mm-hmm.
But you're still there.
You still show up.
That's right.
So, but yeah, I think those are great responses.
Mm-hmm.
So, and moving on to the next question is kind of the opposite.
Oh, no.
Is what is the coolest thing about teaching martial arts? So for you personally, what's the coolest thing about teaching?
There's so many cool things.
I know, it's hard to narrow it down to the coolest.
It's quite a broad question. But the coolest thing is to see students get better.
Mm-hmm.
That's the coolest thing. Yeah, is it fun that they all listen to you most of the time? Yes. Is it fun that you can tell them to do as many push-ups push-ups as you want them to do. Yes, that's
Yeah.
so fun. But at the end of the day, are they learning anything from you? Are you making an impact on them?
Yes.
Yep, there we go. Impact. Cutter.
Impact.
One.
Check.
So
No,
that's,
I agree.
That's the funnest thing.
I agree. Yeah, it's you can say it's like you said, it's they bow to you.
Oh wow.
They should listen to you. Well, they're not always going to want to listen to you. They're going to push your buttons. You're going to get frustrated with them. They're going to get frustrated with you. You'll run through the whole emotional gambit of everything. But it's that, like, seeing kid that couldn't even look you in the eye, now being the kid that you need to tell to shut up in class.
We just listened to a bunch of testimonials before the podcast.
Yeah.
Like that, a lot of those really surprised me when I was recording them.
The one that we were listening to with, I won't say their name, but when they were saying what they dealt with and this and that, I was like, I either must have forgotten that, or they are so much not that anymore that it's hard to believe that they dealt with that.
I can't even associate that type of
behavior with that person.
Exactly.
So I agree. I think one of the coolest things about teaching is to see the impact you can make on people. Yeah. Again, check. And it's not you, but the situation.
That's right.
Okay. The teaching, the class. You also are a contributing factor in that as well. Mm-hmm. Like you personally.
People are going to talk about how they had this teacher that taught them this.
Yeah. Or that helped them get through this. Mm-hmm. They're not just going to be like, yeah, my karate class was XYZ. Yep. That's a portion of it. Mm-hmm. That is a portion of it. But it's more so the people teaching them that XYZ. Okay, like, when we had Coach Scott on the podcast, he was my high school basketball coach that I've known for over 20 years now. And I still find things that he told me that, again, make an impact on my life. Okay? And I still talk about him. I still talk to him. So it's like, if you find a good teacher, man, they can either make you or break you. Because I still remember when I was in 7th grade. Okay, when I was in 7th grade, I was a large 7th grader. Okay, like for example, like 7th, 8th grade, I played in a AAU basketball team. My mom would have to carry my birth certificate around because nobody believed I was in 7th or 8th grade. Okay, I was like 6'1", almost 200 pounds as a 7th, 8th grader. I was a large kid. Okay. And I had like a goatee. Like I was already growing facial hair in 8th grade.
The testosterone was working.
Yeah, like overtime.
There it is.
So that was me. Okay. And I like when you're that big and you're, playing sports and basketball, obviously your goal is to go to the NBA. Like, I'm going to be in the NBA. I'm going to be in the NBA. Okay. I remember and this goes back to the goal setting. I remember telling my 7th grade teacher this. Okay. Mr. Isley. Okay. I still remember his name today. I told Mr. Isley this. They're like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, I want to play in the NBA. And he basically just, like, I threw that goal up there and he just, like, shot it down with a shotgun.
Whoa.
Just blew it right out of the air. And I was just like, what? It really set me back.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, well, you do realize that only, like, 1 out of 2 people actually make it to the NBA.
1 out of 2.
And I was like, he's like, yeah, so I don't think you're going to make it, so I'd really choose another option or have a backup plan. And I was like,
what an off-the-cuff statement.
I was like, whoa, okay. Now, in reality, was he correct? Like, not too many people make it to the NBA.
That's right, yeah.
So I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I understand that.
At the time.
As a 7th grader, thinking, what an asshole.
That hurt.
That, like, I had these big aspirations, and you just basically, like, kicked him right out of the air. What he should have done was like, oh, that's a great goal. You're going to have to work really hard to make sure that happens. Are you willing to work that hard for it? Okay, because the truth of the matter is anybody can do anything if you're willing to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's very few things where you're like, hey, I want to do this, that you can actually make happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to put in the work. If you say you're willing to put in the work and you don't, then you really don't want it.
You get the result you get.
Then you get the result that you get. And that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's on nobody else. That's on you. So if that kind of statement was said and I didn't make the NBA, which obviously I didn't, then that's on me.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like, man, as a teacher of young kids and impactful kids, that's when they're very moldable.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to say statements like that. You don't need to make negative comments about them like that. Like, you know, we've talked about Andy Frisell a lot.
A lot, yeah.
He remembers going into his high school guidance counselor. And they're like, so Andy, where do you want to go to school? And he wanted to play college football, and he wanted to go to places like Notre Dame, Texas, Duke. And he basically said that his guidance counselors laughed at him. And we're like, Andy, that's where smart people go. And now he's worth, I don't even know how much he's worth, but I know he's worth a lot of money.
Pretty smart.
He's very, very smart. So, and he's like, I still know that guidance counselor's name, and I hope they find me on Facebook and they see how well I'm doing, and I hope they feel real stupid. Mm. He goes, a lot of my success is to rub it in people's faces that told me I couldn't. And that's how he operates. That's his motivation. Mm-hmm. That's his driving force. So if somebody tells him he can't do it, he's like, I'm going to work extra hard to prove you that I can do it. And people are just wired. He's wired that way. Some people are. So we want to make sure that as instructors, as martial arts instructors, if a student comes up to us and was like, hey, I want to do this, we need to be very careful on how we respond to them.
Yeah.
We can't just be like, oh, that's a nice dream. Way to keep on dreaming. You're not going to do that. You're too dumb, you know, which obviously we never say something like that. But it's like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. Great. That's awesome, buddy. Like, how are you going to become an astronaut? Mm-hmm. Ask them how they're going to do it. Not, I don't really think you're astronaut material. You can't even sit still in class.
Space yet?
Maybe space is good for you because, you know, gravity won't be around, so it'll kind of keep you in one spot.
Yeah.
You know?
Satirically, I wish kids would come up and say they want to be professional mimes. Then I could say, great, you can start by not talking.
Exactly. Hey, let's practice now.
Yeah, you could get some mileage right here.
Yeah, well, lock yourself in a box. Oh no, you're in a box. How are you going to get out?
They've got the choreographed falling from when a student punches in a foot away from them.
Oh, do you know what I really want to do with someone? Oh, have them pretend they're being mime. Be like, all right, lock yourself in a box. Like, put yourself in a box and like act like you mimic like padlocking them with the key, and then just turn around and act like you throw something, and just see their face. Because they can't talk. Be like, I just locked your ass in this box forever, buddy. I would love to have that happen. So
that would be such a funny skit.
Yeah. So if you know any mimes out there, oh man, please send them our way. I want to try that. Okay, but moving on to the next question. Have you ever had to deal with an unruly parent? And if you did, what did you do?
I've not had to deal with a parent I think would be unruly. I've dealt with parents that have been concerned of incidents that happen to their kids.
Yeah.
And I think how I manage that is just, you communicate and you express like, hey, I can agree that expectations weren't met in this instance, and here's how I go about fixing them.
Yeah.
So unruly, no, but I've had to deal with concerned or upset parents in the manner of a real reason.
Yeah.
So. What about you?
Yeah, you just deal with those. I've had to deal with a couple in my day. Probably one of the worst ones was when we were back at the old dojo. There was this mom, and she had 2 kids, and the 2 kids were nice. I remember the girl had this weird disease where she had zero sweat glands. So like she physically could not sweat. So she would overheat like that. So when we would do warm-ups, like mom would say, be like, hey, keep an eye on her when she does her warm-ups. If she starts to slow down, like you kind of have to let her be, because you can't be like, all right, pick it up. Because she'll overheat. And her skin will turn bright red.
Wow.
And it'll be hot to the touch.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, because we're already at 98 degrees anyways.
Yeah.
And then your body starts to move and generate more body heat, and there's no way for it physically to cool itself down.
So it releases the heat.
Yeah, so she just gets bright red, and you can touch her and you'd be like, oh my gosh, it feels like she has a fever.
Wow.
So I remember that parent was interesting because they were a military family. Oh. So I believe she was in the Navy, if I can remember correctly. And she was very much like she was trying to establish dominance over me.
Over you?
Yeah, being like, she's the one in charge, not me. And I remember when this goes way, way back, when we were at the old dojo, next to us was a haircut place.
That's right.
Well, I went there to go get my haircut one day before we opened up, because you're like, you support the people around you.
That's right.
They hopefully support you.
That's why I eat a lot of frozen yogurt.
Yeah. I was over there, and then they ended up coming and getting their haircut as well. And she came over and was starting to talk to me, and we were talking, and she goes, yeah, I want to make sure the kids do this and do that. And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. And she's all this and that. And she's like, yeah, I want to make sure that the kids know how to like do grab escapes really good. Like, and she like grabbed my neck and was like choking me, like in front of her kids.
What?
And then she put her hand, like I was like, don't touch me.
Take your hands off. I
go, don't touch me. Oh, what are you going to do? And I was like, it's not what I'm going to do. I just ask you not to touch me. I'm like, I would never walk up to you while you're sitting in a chair and grab you by the neck.
That's right.
Like, don't touch me. And her kids were there, so she's like, hey, look who's the one controlling who. And it was a very much like and it was that way all the time.
That's insane.
All the time. Every time I saw this person, it was like a pissing match, for lack of a better term. No. And then finally, when they're like, hey, we're thinking about stopping, it's like, sure, just stop.
Sure.
That's okay. I go, your kids are great. I go, you're a nightmare. Like, I'm glad we could help things out. I go, but you really got to, like, watch how you treat people. I go, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like every time I see you, it's like, who's in charge of who?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're bringing your kids to me for discipline.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like I'm doing a good enough job with them, then you do it.
Feel free to discipline your kids.
That's fine. Yeah, it's like, that's fine if you want to discipline them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, stuff like that. More recently, I had to deal with a family who pulled their kid, but they didn't give a 30 days notice.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I'm remembering that.
Yeah, they came in. Was it during adult class?
Yeah.
They came in during an adult class, and then I had you take over. And the mom was just like, oh, you're trying to, like, screw us. Yeah. All you're about is money. How can you do this and that? And I just had to, like, be like, hey, first of all, I'm not yelling at you. Second of all, you're attacking me personally over something you signed for.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you never told us. We never were aware of this. I go, yes, I did. Yes, you were. You initialed it. No, we never, blah, 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 blah. And then you pull out their paperwork, and it goes, you have your initial right here. Must require 30 days notice to stop. That's all. What place does that? Every place does that. Place. Anywhere you have a membership, you have to give a 30 days notice. Sometimes they even charge you cancellation fees. I go, we're not charging you cancellation fees. I go, you just have to pay your 30 days, then you're done. Mm-hmm. I go, you didn't even tell me this person's quitting. Mm-hmm. I had to call you and ask you where they have been because they've missed a class.
For all we know, they could be
dead in a ditch.
Amber Alert or something.
Yeah, exactly. So And she goes, well, you only called it's because their tuition was due. I go, no, they missed a class and their tuition was due a week later.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it's not about just the money. Am I covering what who's supposed to pay who? Yeah, of course. That's called doing business. I go, but to openly attack me and say that I'm all about the money is insane. Yeah. I go, first of all, I don't appreciate it. Second of all, you legally signed a document saying that you would give a 30 days notice. Yep. I go, for the lack of you just getting out of my hair, I will waive it. But how dare you attack my character? Mm-hmm. I go, I worked long and hard to have the reputation that I have. And for you to try to assassinate it like that, I do not agree with. And I was. You
were angry at the rest of the day.
I was very upset after that, and it took me a lot not to just start screaming at them. Yeah. I go, but at the same time, if I just started yelling at them, then they win.
Yep,
they win. So that was the most recent one, and that happens every now and then, and it stinks because I hate it when it happens when people go on hold.
Yeah,
people will be like, "Oh, I got to take a month off," and this and that, and you're like, "Okay, well, we'll put your tuition on hold." And then that month comes up and they're like, oh, well, we can't keep going and this and that. And you're like, well, you got to give a 30 days notice.
Slow.
Like, you told me you were coming back. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, oh, well, that's unfair. And then you're like, oh, my gosh. It's like, if you were planning on coming back, then you should have done the 30 days notice last month.
Okay. Yeah.
Just do your 30 days notice and quit. You know, people quit all the time. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that... Every now and then you have to deal with stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Luckily, it's not very often. But when it does, you just have to make sure you maintain the moral high ground.
Yep.
And make sure you've done personally everything that you're responsible for doing and more. Mm-hmm. So they can't come at you and be like, well, you didn't do this, or you didn't do that, or you didn't provide this, you didn't provide that. It's like, no, we fulfilled everything we were supposed to do. Plus some. Like, so why are we having this conversation? So, but yeah, no, that's that. Unfortunately, you do have to deal with unruly parents, but for the most part, I would say 99% of the time, all of our parents are great.
Parents love us.
I truly appreciate and adore every single parent that we have here. Mm-hmm. They're just the greatest people ever. So, parents out there, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
We thank you for allowing us to work with your children. It's a huge responsibility, and we don't take that lightly because, again, going back to the previous question, that could make or break somebody.
That's right.
So, and we're about making people, not breaking people. Mm-hmm. So, moving on to the next portion of the show is a word from our sponsor.
For the best tips and tricks, no need to ask. Just tune in now to Provost Park Pass. Discover theme parks from far and wide. Secrets of Disneyland, we're your guide. Don't miss out, subscribe today. For all the hidden gems and tips, hooray! Provost Park Pass, the place to be. For travel tips and magic, come and see. Just type Park Pass and hit subscribe. Join the fun and feel the vibe. Provost Park Pass, your guide, your friend. For theme park magic that never ends.
Thank you, sponsor.
Thank you.
Next section is our fight scene, and it's an interesting one this week. Okay, so up until now, most of our fight scenes have been against like people.
Really? Yeah.
For the most part, I think, right?
Yeah. People like humanoid
things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that, humanoid things.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'm
so
thinking
like,
back to our Disney fight scenes.
Yeah,
with,
exactly.
Like, Donald versus
So
Goofy.
yeah, like those are characters.
Characters.
Yeah. So for the most part, they've been characters
somewhat conscious beings.
Yeah, exactly. Things that we could like see them actually fighting each other.
Right.
So this week, I don't think we'll ever see this, just because of where these things are naturally in the world. But it's an interesting one. It's a pack of 4 wolves versus a gorilla.
Wow.
Okay.
Team fight here.
Well, because you'll never see a wolf fight alone.
No, wolves fight.
They always fight in packs. So it's like, okay, I can't just be like a wolf versus a gorilla. No, it's got to be a pack of wolves. So 4 wolves versus 1 gorilla. Let's start off with they're in.
All right. We got the 3 territories, right?
Yeah, 3 territories.
Gorilla's territory.
The low highlands of Africa.
Some trees, highlands.
Yeah, and then the
wolves territory.
wolves, kind of more mountainous terrain. Still has trees, tundra, kind of cold. And then we just kind of lock them in a room. Okay, so let's start off with they're in the low highlands of Africa. They're in the gorilla's territory.
Okay.
All right, so they're in the low highlands of Africa.
Okay.
Who you got?
That's tough, because I would think the gorilla could win, but I'm realizing the gorilla's on the ground. Same with the wolves. Now, if the gorilla utilizes any of the large trees and sort of like picks a wolf up, I think it could win.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's how gorillas do.
I think they can climb.
They can climb, but they don't.
They don't really climb.
They're kind of ground dwellers, too.
Yeah.
So if the gorilla climbs, that's too many things. I'm biased. I'm going to go with wolves.
Wolves?
Yep.
I can definitely see that, but I like gorillas, and just being on its home turf.
You're going to give it
the high grass.
Okay.
I mean, it could probably grab a stick of bamboo.
Oh, it's got a weapon.
And it could use it as a weapon.
I see.
It's got hands.
I see.
And it is at a disadvantage with the 4-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it could just grab one of those wolves.
It's going to do the Hulk thing with...
And just literally beat the other wolves with one of them. At least that's what I envision.
Yeah.
So, they're going to surround it.
They're going to...
It's gonna get. He's gonna get beat up. He's gonna get bit.
Yep.
But he just needs to grab a hold of one of them, and he's either gonna use that one to beat the rest of them, or he's gonna use that one and mutilate it so bad that the other wolves are like, "I'm out of here. I'm leaving." So, because I envision like Kong.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a big gorilla.
Obviously, gorillas aren't Kong,
right.
but. He's my frame of reference.
Right.
So, God, and gorillas are so freaking strong.
They're so strong.
My goodness, they're strong creatures. And fast.
They're pretty fast.
They are surprisingly fast. Like, I've seen some silverbacks move. They go from like a standstill, then they stand up, and then all of a sudden, they literally start running. And you're like, holy hell.
They also have teeth, too.
They can bite. Now, granted, they're not meat eaters, which is that we know of.
They're omnivores of sorts.
Yeah.
They eat mostly plants. But
which begs the question, how the hell are they so big on a plant-based diet?
What's their formula?
Exactly.
What supplements are they taking?
Do they have like some different genetics to where it's like anything they consume goes right to mass?
Man.
That would be amazing.
We need to start genetically modifying ourselves with a gorilla so we can be a little more.
Do you know how crazy that would be?
That'd be crazy.
Oh my goodness, the long arms, and those arms are huge.
Yeah,
they are so big.
Yep,
and you can tell they're strong. Hence the term silverback. But just looking at its like. If a gorilla stands up and you look at its back, you were like, holy hell, that creature is strong. I mean, it has a strong back. And you're just like, my gosh, like what would happen if like a gorilla really went after somebody? I've seen a documentary where there was this group of scientists up around the lower highlands, like observing
scientists,
observing the gorillas, and the silverback was getting annoyed. So it did a mock charge, you know, showed like, hey, this is my territory, like back off. And then like, you know, everybody's, you know, not making eye contact.
Right.
They're backing down. And then it chooses to walk through the group of people. And then right as it's leaving, it grabs one of them.
I've seen this video.
And literally just drags it 10 feet like it's
nothing.
Like it's a doll.
Yeah.
That would terrify me to no end.
Or not.
That this thing grabbed me and pulled me.
Yeah, you're coming with me.
Like I was a stuffed animal.
Yep.
And then it just let it go.
Yep.
Like, just remember that. I'd be like, I would start bowing and I would leave. Like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry to...
We've got a new animal in the dojo?
Sorry to disturb you. Truthfully, they'd be a phenomenal, like, fighter.
Phenomenal form, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch Planet of the Apes.
Well, yeah. We have to get our inspiration from somewhere.
Exactly. So I'm going with the gorilla, but I can definitely see an argument for the wolves.
Well, you've defended the gorilla well. I mean.
So now they're in the Yukon of the Yukon. Let's say they're in the Yukon. I was going to say like, you know,
the tundra.
Wyoming, or not Wyoming Springs, Yellowstone.
No,
but let's say they're in like the tundra. Okay.
I'm going with wolves, and let me give you a couple of reasons why.
Yeah.
Wolves are really smart too. All right. So what they're going to do is they're going to surround the gorilla, and they're going to take stabs at it from behind, and they're going to do hit and run tactics. The gorilla will get frustrated, and then every bite is going to start. It's death by 1,000 cuts, really.
Yeah.
They're going to start weakening it, and then there's going to be that alpha that goes right for the jugular. And I've had to pull apart puppies that instinctually know like how to bite the neck of their own kind. So a muscular gorilla, it might have muscles, it might be fast, it might, you know, if it gets one, maybe it takes one or two down with it, but the wolves are going to give it what it's due on their turf.
I would agree. I think the main factor is the snow.
The snow. Okay.
Yeah. If it's snowing at all, gorilla's history.
Okay.
Because one, it's not used to it.
It's foreign.
So it's naturally going to be slower.
Everything slide around.
Everything's going to slow it down.
Yep, it doesn't stalk. It sort of walks.
Yep.
It's going to slip.
It's not going to have any balance. So if it's in the tundra and if there's any kind of snow anywhere, absolutely 100% the wolves take it.
The wolves will bite down on a muscle or a nerve and incapacitate limb by limb.
Yep.
And then they're going to go for the neck.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't, like, I've had to pry apart jaws of puppies. And bare hands, that's tough to do. I could not imagine doing it with an adult.
Oh, no.
And like, the dogs that I raised, their instincts have been bred, so they don't bite to kill.
Yeah.
They bite to hurt, to move, to control. Wolves have to bite to kill to eat.
Yeah, they got to eat somehow.
So I'm going wolves again.
Yeah. Yeah, so I agree. If the tundra being cold, the wolves take it for sure. So I've got 1-1. You've got 2-0.
2-0.
Now you lock him in a cage. It's like throw him in the octagon.
Okay. I'm giving this one to the gorilla.
Yeah, I'm giving it to the gorilla too because the wolves won't be able to surround him.
Right. There's not enough space.
And
they can't stalk. The gorilla has a cage he can just climb up on.
He can
pick them up one at a time.
So if it's in the octagon or in a cage, by all means, 100% gorilla. Yeah. So I've got the gorilla winning. You've got wolves winning. Hey, It's about time we had a split decision.
Yep,
So,
house divided here.
so what do you guys think? Do you think it's the wolves or the gorilla that would win? So I'd love to hear your guys' comments. I thought this one was by far the hardest one
It's been tough.
we've ever done before. So, at least in my opinion. And, like heaven, like forbid these two creatures ever get near each other.
No, they make an alliance. We're done.
Yeah. Thank God, like, animals can't communicate with each other, or we'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
Like, for reals. Like, the Planet of the Apes type scenario. Shoot, if apes learn how to, like, talk and, like, organize, oh my God, they are so much stronger and more resilient than humans. I don't even want to imagine that day coming. So, yeah, thank good they're smart for what they are, but they're not human smart. So, that ultimately is what separates us from everybody.
Yeah,
is our ability to use our mind more. Like, truthfully, it's not our physical prowess.
No,
like, no means is it our physical prowess, but our abilities to make weapons, invent things like that, organize. That's what separates us from everything else. So, ants, like insects have the ability to organize, but
they have one leader.
Yeah.
And they all serve the purpose of the greater good. Right?
Yeah.
They're the survival of their hive or nest comes before their own well-being.
Yeah, we call those nationalists, right?
What?
Aren't they considered, nationalists?
Yeah.
So, whatever. But they have the ability to organize, and when you see, like, insects go after something, like, they can take it down. It's rather impressive. And insects are these tiny little creatures. Now imagine that ability in a group full of apes or wolves. Imagine if wolves could communicate with each other and organize like that. Wolves unite.
I think they're close. I think
they're pretty close. They do communicate in some fashion.
They communicate with. I mean, but it's not like how we communicate.
Yeah, openly
obviously.
talking.
But it's like they organize and they take down larger prey for their pack.
Yeah, because they understand that if they don't work together, they don't eat. Yep, absolutely. But again, what do you guys think? Who do you got in this fight scene? And yeah, this one was a tough one. So, Stephen's got the wolves winning 2-1, and I got the gorilla winning 2-1. So it's a split decision in the dojo front. So let's see if the comment section can declare a winner. So let's see what you guys think with that. Okay, moving on to the next section. Which is our shout-outs. So it's a shout-out section for the week. Stephen, who are you shouting out this week?
Well, I was pretty weird this week, taking film and video of everybody, making sure that I have content for hopefully one of the sponsor videos that our YouTube friends get to see on this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe they've already seen it.
Well, that'll be good.
But so I want to thank everyone who's taken time to really dial in their basics, their forms, how they look, and then those that have also given testimonials. Those have been really helpful. Again, that shows that we're making an impact. It shows that what we do is helping you, and I want to shout that out.
Nice,
because it's good to hear.
Absolutely, I think that's a great shout out. Yeah, the students have been really cooperative, very open to the idea of like having themselves recorded, saying something that's vulnerable to them, all that stuff. I agree. Well, I was really thinking about who to shout out this week, and then answering our questions, it gave me my answer. It's the parents.
It's the parents.
The parents. Like, I do have to every now and then just take a step back and realize, damn, we got a good set of parents here. So parents, all the parents involved with the dojo, huge shout out to you guys. It's back to school week for most places. So the kids are wild at home, I bet. And you guys have to deal with them most of the time. And I feel bad for parents when they're like, oh my God, the kid's been a nightmare, and they bring them into class and they're like, they leave and they're like, "Oh, your kid was fantastic," and they're like,
What? That is.
because you have to remember, it's like parents. Just remember, we only see them for 1 to 2 hours a week, maybe at the most. We see them 3.5 hours a week. Okay, you see them all the time, so you're obviously going to see the worst side of them than we will. Every now and then we get them, and it's a bad day, and that's fine because those are great learning days. But for the most part, when we get them, it's fun time. Okay, so they're clearly going to be more willing to behave for us than unfortunately their parents. So parents, I sympathize with you on that aspect. I've had that same thing too, where they're like, "Just take this kid. I'm going to freaking kill him." And then you be like, "Oh," and you say, "Hopefully it wasn't too bad for you today." And they're like, "Oh no, he was fantastic." And you just want to be like, "Oh really? He's fantastic for you? Well, by God, why can't he be fantastic for me?" And I get it. Like, I really do. So I appreciate everybody that has that happen to them and they don't freak out. And I just appreciate all the parents just supporting the dojo, supporting their kids, and getting their kids here when their kids are giving them a fight. Okay? So when the kids go through that plateau phase, they're like, "I don't want to go. I don't want to go." And that parent sticks with it, the parent deserves a medal too. Okay? Like, I remember talking with Cade, and I go, "Dude, you need to be real nice to your mom, because how many times did you want to quit?" And he goes, "Oh, a bunch." And I go, "Now you're a black belt." And I go, "Portion of that belt's your mom." I go, "Did she physically do any of the work?" "No, not really, but she mentally did a lot of the work by forcing your butt to class when you just wanted to stay home and do nothing." So parents out there, when your kids get their black belt, revel in that black belt as well, because part of it's yours. Okay? You may not have done the work physically, but you definitely put in the emotional effort and the mental toll to get it. So, big shout out to the parents. And moving on to the final segment of the show, our final thoughts. Any final thoughts for the day, or something you want to leave the listeners on moving forward?
Low-hanging fruit, but make an impact.
Yeah, definitely. I'm totally down with that.
Doesn't matter really what you're doing, where you're at in life, but you always have the ability to improve someone else's day. You always have the ability to help someone else, and that goes a long way. Yeah,
it doesn't cost any money to be a good person. Okay, and you have to realize that everybody's at a different stage in their life or their day when you meet them. You know, Master Lenton always says, and I think it's a Abraham Lincoln quote, is you never know what people are going through until you walk in their own shoes. Okay, so never try to judge anybody based on that snapshot. Okay.
Right.
And just remember that you're important and you're valuable. Okay? People do care about you. You do make an impact in the world. You do make an impact in your family's life. And sometimes you may feel alone and you don't feel special. Well, you're not alone, and you are special I don't want to be like this whole like everybody's unique and special and blah blah blah. They can do no wrong. No, people can do wrong. But everybody does have some sort of unique quality about themselves that is unique to them.
You're feeling like you're not making an impact or not special or don't matter, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to be around people who can see that. So for me, it's crazy because I work by myself, for myself, and I'm my own boss and also my worst employee.
Yep.
And I need to surround myself with people here, especially at TruMotion, in order to realize that I'm doing more than just what I think.
You are definitely making an impact in people's lives. So, yeah, honestly, you can never use that word enough.
I know.
I've
stopped counting how many times we've used it.
Yeah, at least 10. So, but that, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said, and this was fun. Talking about the fight scene and the chips and the stories. So, But yeah, we just kind of, we appreciate everybody's efforts and continued support of the dojo. We've got a leopard test coming up in September, and we even got a clinic with Master Lenton in October where he's going to be going through advanced techniques.
Wow.
Okay, so if you want to join in with us on that class, let me know and we can get you signed up for it. But other than that, like, go make an impact in somebody's day. Go make somebody else's day better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you can make somebody else's day better, not only will your day be good, but it pays forward. You'll have a better weekend.
That's right.
You'll have a better Sunday. You'll have a better day of worship. You'll have a better Monday. And then all of a sudden it starts to wear out and you're like, oh, well, I need to...
Gotta re-up it.
Gotta re-up it. Then you do somebody that refills that battery, then you're off and running again. Mm-hmm. So it's also coming up to football season. So,
wow. Yeah, you're pretty excited for that.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely stoked for it. Next weekend is college football. So if your friends are rivals, please be civil with each other. No civil wars in the house or name calling. Well, teasing name calling, but no bitter name calling if your team wins or loses. So it happens, but the Eagles are going to win it all. Just putting it out there. So, but go make an impact on somebody's day and have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Kick it with us next week. Bye, everyone.